in our honey shed. I know it's exciting.
Yep.
Okay, I've been looking forward to this all day.
Okay.
We're a little more up close this week, so
Yep.
hopefully you guys like it. We'll see. I don't know.
And we're not using the lavalier, so if you hear or it doesn't sound as good,
Yeah.
just let us know and we'll fix it. It's an easy plug-in.
Yeah.
But I noticed in the last couple of videos when I watched them, if I had the lavalier on, you could hear me just fine, but then it sounded like she was 5 miles away, still like, hey.
Even though I was like this the whole time.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, hopefully it had kind of a weird like feedback or something on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, welcome. We're glad to have you here. This is a swarm updates video. However, we do have some other things to update you on. We did a lot of inspections again on all of our hives, which is a good thing. Right? We want to make sure our hives are nice and healthy because healthy bees are happy bees.
Yep.
Right?
Are your glasses crooked or should I be?
Are they?
Should I be wearing them?
Do I just need to take these off? Does that matter?
No. It just looks like this side's higher than the other. That's all.
I think it's just my face. My face is crooked.
Maybe.
No, that's fine. Okay, so hive notes. We got into a lot of hives, so I have a lot of notes. I do take a lot of notes. He doesn't.
No, but we will talk about notes towards the end of this one because I got some things that I want to share with everybody.
Awesome. Okay.
How we do hive notes.
Yeah. So lately we've been doing it a different way than how we've done it in the past. But like you said, we'll get into that later.
Yes.
So okay. So some of the notes from our inspections. Okay. We had some more queen cells than we really wanted to have. So we did a little more manipulations. Took a queen out of, which one was it? Do you remember? Took a queen out of a hive because we found some queen cells. I'd have to look through my notes. Do I really want to scroll through them?
No.
While we're live, I didn't think so. Anyway.
Okay. I'll do it. We started out Monday and it was a crazy day because there was we just wanted to go through the Warray. It was the day we were both off of work, so we wanted to do our tilt method where we just kind of look in the hive, find out what's going on. We did find queen cells in there, and we had known for about a week that there was queen cells in there, and I had kind of counted on my fingers going, okay, if there was a capped one, then capped swarm cell, sorry, then I have, so many days until they should emerge, so we'll just look for it because the Warray we were kind of treating as hands off, really. That's at the end of the day. All the other hives we had done a lot of crazy things, moving queens around and trying to prevent swarming, but with the Warray we really didn't. We were more focused on this is our second season with the Warray, and we wanted to get cutting the comb correctly and being able to inspect it correctly and really start to get a rhythm when it comes to the Warray. So when it came to the queen cells in there and them being capped, we didn't really do anything about it. We just said, we'll let them swarm. That'll give us some swarm videos to give out to everybody, and then that'll be fun. It turned out to be crazy this week. Every single day off was a swarm, and yeah, that it got to the point where I was standing there going, is it not the Warray that's swarming and it's these other hives swarming? What is going on? But it was the Warray every single time, and I was very against believing that because the amount of bees in each swarm was just ginormous. But every single time I was out there and there was a swarm occurring, it was coming out of that hive, and yeah, I couldn't believe it.
And there were still a ton of bees in there too.
And there were. So what we did on Monday when we had one of the swarms is we went back and through and did an inspection. Well, we were able to coax the swarm back into the hive. So it was like a false fire drill where they came out, they flew around a bunch, and then we coaxed them back into the hive. And I'll be putting out a video for members on how to do that. But we decided to inspect them, and we went in there, we cut all the comb, and we decided what we were going to do was shake a bunch of bees into a nucleus hive. So we took a bunch of frames that had nurse bees on them, so that's open brood, put them in a hive box, walked them over to the nuke, and essentially shook them all in there. That way there was a ton of nurse bees in there. What I was trying to do was help out another hive, because that nucleus box had a queen, it had eggs and larvae and everything, but it was very small, and I just wanted them to have a couple extra bees to, help them out with foraging, guarding, that sort of thing. So that was the first thing we did on Monday, and then we went through and inspected all the other colonies. Just doing the tilt method, where we just tilt the box up, we look in, we also judge the amount of population, that sort of thing.
So he's talking about doing the tilt method. So what we do is tilt the hive forward. So I'm looking at what he tilts it, because he's got the muscles.
Mm-hmm.
And I just look at the bottoms of the frames, and we're just looking for queen cups, but really queen cells. So queen cells have eggs and or larvae or capped at that point.
Yeah. What were you calling them? You were using the British term
Play cups.
Play cups.
They're play cups.
They're play cups when they don't have anything in them. They're just nice and polished.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's somebody from England that's like, man, just stop.
I think it's fun. It's like they're getting ready, but they're not really getting ready. They're just playing.
Yeah.
They're just like, we're gonna have these ready, just.
So did you find what queen you were talking about? Because I didn't.
I
don't remember moving a queen. Not this week. That was the week prior.
Was it really? I thought we moved another one this week.
Mm-mm.
Oh, you know what we did? Is what I'm thinking of.
I do.
You do? Do you really?
You're thinking of when we took a bunch of bees from the coffee with a
queen cell.
A queen cell.
You're
and
right.
put them
That's
in our
exactly
queen
what I was
castle.
thinking.
Yep.
Yep, we did that. So we found another hive that had some queen cells, and instead of letting them do what they do, this time we were like, we have this queen castle, let's try and do that. So we put a frame that had, I think, three queen cells on it. I believe two or three.
Yeah, two
queen cells on it, and we put that in a queen castle, which is a 4-compartment, essentially 10 frame box, but it's split up into 4 compartments, and each compartment can hold 2 frames. So one frame that we put in had a couple of queen cells on it, and some open and capped brood. And then we also put in a frame of resources.
Yep. So the whole point of that is it's a 2-frame nuke essentially at that point, and then they can build out, and I can move them into a bigger box. But it's easier for them if it's a tighter area, so that they can defend and do their thing. Plus that queen castle, little background on that, is we bought it when we went to a queen rearing class, and it supports the North Carolina
State Apiculture, the North Carolina State University's apiculture program.
So if you haven't seen their program, it's Dr. David Tarpey leads it, and he puts out a lot of information online, and he has a beekeeping class online, which I would recommend taking.
Bees. They have the bees.
And they
school.
call it bees. It's an acronym.
Yes.
It stands for something. But I bought that queen castle because their house that they do all their lab essentially is just a bought house that they have converted into a lab, but it's kind of deteriorating. So we always try and help wherever we can, and buying the queen castle is an option that, I mean, it donated money to them, and it gave us something new to play with.
Yeah.
So it's a 10-frame hive that has dividers in there, and it's 8 frames essentially, but it's a 10-frame box is what I mean.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty sad. Their lab was literally falling apart. It's like leaking water every time it rains and all kinds of things. Just not fun stuff. And they do a lot of great work over there, especially looking into queen genetics and things like that.
So that's what David Tarpey is known for, is being an expert on queens. And then he has a student there that I really, or a graduate, I don't know. One of the guys that works for him studies male bees. He loves drones and trying to figure out, well, what makes them tick, because everybody else focuses on workers and queens, because that's like, the high.
Yeah, his thing is more like the drones have the really good genetics, and what makes one drone's genetics better than the other, right? Like, it's pretty interesting stuff.
So he's always like, collect all your drones, put them in a Ziploc bag, send them to me. I'll do research on them.
Yeah.
So, okay. But so we went through all 20 hives. We did the tilt. There was only one out of the 19 essentially that had swarm cells. So I think rotating the queens kind of gave us a little bit of a buffer. Maybe we'll do it again next week and just
and
move them around
and a little bit of a brood break,
in a brood break.
which
Yeah,
should
it's only
not,
about 5 to 7 days,
I was
really.
say not
But
a ton of a brood break, but a little
yeah.
bit, which might help a little with Varroa if there's
Mm-hmm.
any in there. We haven't done a sugar shake yet this season, so we'll see.
Yeah. Speaking
Okay.
of, if you're into natural beekeeping, uh, a lot of people want to be in natural beekeeping because they don't want chemicals in their hive. Cool, good for you. I agree with that, but at the same time, you got to recognize the amount of work that goes in rotating queens or caging your queen for a couple of days to give that brood break to really knock down varroa, splits, all those things really help.
Drone comb.
Drone comb and culling drone comb.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's a lot of work. It's not put your hive out there, leave it, let it do its thing naturally, because all you're going to do is piss off the neighbors and the other beekeepers because now you've made varroa bombs. And varroa right now is something that we really need to strap down on and take care of and find good methods that work for you. Just because we're rotating queens doesn't mean that you'll be able to go out there and just grab her and move her. Like it takes some experience.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Another big thing that we did this week was the broodbinder sensors.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had these broodbinder sensors for a few years now, and we're having some issues with them in the hive. We came up with a little hack that we put into practice, so we'll see if it actually works.
Mm-hmm.
But we put those back in the hive.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the scales that we had taken out of commission for a bit, we put back into commission under one of our hives that was new last year.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
to not be so generalized, these brood minders, what they do is they take the temperature inside the hive, the internal sensors, and we have a video that's coming out. We're just going to name it 13 hacks for beekeeping, and one of the hacks is we'll show you how to take the sensor that they sell you and put it in a better container so that you can use it longer in your hive. Because our first year we had a problem with it. It only really lasted a year because of moisture and bees propolis everything and it just got deteriorated and the way that it sits in there like really gives your hives a little crack all the way around. It's very small, but it can still let in pests. It can let in some water if they don't propolis it immediately.
Small hive beetles.
Small hive beetles can come and go.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
But yeah, we found a way to set it in there so that we don't have to mess with it until we're ready to take it out, and it doesn't have any ill effects that we see so far. And then the other thing, the broodminder itself, if you want to go to our website, in the next couple of days, we'll have a post that it embeds all the sensor data. So if you want to see what's going on in our hive, thanks for the like. If you want to see what's going on in our hive in the, from now until forever, as long as those hives are still running, you can see like, what's our temperature here in North Carolina, and are the bees keeping it at that temperature? Because the scales that sit at the back that give you the weight also will tell you the temperature outside, and then you can see what the internal temperature is. So sometimes it gets over 100 here, but inside the hive it's still at 96, like just rocking and rolling with brood.
And it's pretty cool because the internal sensors have not only the internal temperature but the humidity levels as well. And something that we learned about maybe first year, maybe second year, I don't remember now, but was that the brood has to be at a specific temperature. There's a temperature range, and the broodminder sensors show you that range, and you can see if the bees are keeping it in that brood range or not.
And I found out cool. I found out yesterday as well. Whenever I update it, there's a program that's associated with broodminder. I can't quite remember the name. It's like Melliferous.
Oh yeah,
something similar to that. But you can give them your email, and whenever they think that there was a swarm or you're outside of your temperatures for your hives, it'll send you an email that said, "Hey, this hive such and such is having what we think is this issue via what we read on the scale." So that was one of my gripes the first year, is looking at all the data. Cool, but I only understand some of it because I did a lot of research. I don't understand like the nuances of it. So
We're only
yeah,
amateur scientists.
yeah,
Amateur a lot of things. Amateur woodworkers, amateur
yeah.
meteorologists,
Well,
man.
well, that's funny because somebody posted on Instagram the other day, and I actually shared it on our feed. But they listed off all the different things a beekeeper has
Oh, I
to
saw
be,
that. Yeah.
like a virologist,
Virologist. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
entomologist,
Yeah.
a weightlifter.
Yeah.
Like
It's a lot.
come
You
on.
got jack of all trades, master of none, right?
Yeah, and to be honest, this is a hobby that really kind of focuses on 40 and older, I mean, there's some younger, but like it really the demographic, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, the demographic.
Tapers off, and you're like,
The demographic for our beekeeping association, I think the average age is like 60.
I hope they're not watching.
I love you guys. You're still awesome.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Sure. And we'll see you tomorrow night for sure. Yes.
But
yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely older people generally. Let me see. Oh, our flow hive. So we have a flow hive super on one of our hives.
Yep.
And we did our inspection, and they're definitely capping the honey in it, which is awesome. However, we did find some eggs up there too, because we haven't been using queen excluders now for a few years.
Yeah.
And typically, like in the past, we haven't seen any kind of evidence of her up there, but this time she did get up there. Yep. So we did put an excluder on, and hopefully she is underneath, and we didn't trap her up in the
We
super.
double checked the flow frames to make sure she wasn't on, but yeah. Sometimes you miss her once, you miss her twice, and then you just throw the excluder on.
So we'll see.
I think the mistake we made is when we put the flow hive on, we didn't reverse the boxes from winter. So she was already in the top box. So instead of going down to the bottom, because when we looked in the bottom, I think your notes will say it's mainly resources in the bottom. So we should have switched those and then put the super on, and then it would have been fine, because we typically don't use excluders. But because we didn't do the switch, the brood, I always imagine it as a bubble, like when you're looking at the hive, you can have a little brood bubble in one hive, and then as it floats up, it goes to the hive above it, and then it kind of goes in between the two. But when your brood bubble starts in the second brood box, it can go up to the super, or it can go down, and they have that option. So when you do the reverse and put your brood bubble on the bottom, like they only have the go up, or swarm.
Yeah, which we did do when we did notice that. We did reverse the boxes and the brood boxes as well. So we reversed the brood boxes, we put in the excluder. So hopefully that will not only help them not swarm, because they have more room now, but then also the queen will be up in her super laying eggs.
And it's still warm enough here where if we break up the brood, bubble, it's not a big deal. So she'll be in the bottom box, hopefully, fingers crossed, in the bottom box, and they'll just make a new. And then the ones in the flow, they'll either pull out or they'll let them emerge.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, those are the big things from the notes, but we did have a lot of swarms.
We did.
Did you have something else you wanted to talk about first before we get into the swarms?
So I made I'm currently making a video on the Nico, using the Nico for queen rearing, and I keep saying in the video, like, no, I'm just kind of doing this for whatever. I'm not trying to follow anybody's like methods. And we went to peek at it, and it was a bust. Yeah. It totally didn't work, and that's my fault, because I didn't add more nurse bees like I should have. But at the time when I put it in, I didn't really have any available that I really wanted to add. So we're going to try again, not next week, but the week after, once I get the whole apiary figured out, because all the swarms this week has used up all our boxes at this point. So it's either give away some bees to association members or figure something out. So, yeah, you want to talk about your experience?
So Wednesday Mike was at work, and I was home, and puttering around in the yard doing some yard work stuff, and all of a sudden there's a cloud of bees. And if you've ever seen this, it is magical and also stressful because you're like, oh my god, there's all of my bees and they're about to fly away. But luckily, some quick actions, I like to think at least, ran in the honey shed, grabbed some frame rest because I couldn't find our hive tools very fast. They weren't where they normally were because I had taken them inside to clean them. So I grabbed some frame rest and went out and started tanging, and they landed in a tree, and it wasn't too far high. It was at maybe 15 feet, I think, in the tree. I went and got my suit and took some time because they were in a super awkward angle. It was like it was on a vertical branch instead of a horizontal one, which I haven't had to deal with before. Every other time we've done it, it's been horizontal. So it's just a quick knock them and then they drop right in the bucket and it's no big deal. This one was kind of like I tried to knock them, but only part of them fell in, and then I had to like, oh, yeah. But I got all that on video. Can't promise it's going to be great footage because I did it on. I said I just set up the tripod with my phone, and really just let it go. So um, probably not the best footage, but I did it all by myself.
So what I plan on doing with
Yeah.
all that is we have footage from 3 or 4 different swarm captures, and I'm just going to basically make it available to members, and then I'll do some voiceover and throw in some extra tips. That way, they can see the 3 or 4 different situations that we were in, and then how we dealt with it, and then I can give them a little monologue of like some other things that we could have done or why we did it the way we did.
Some tips and tricks.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Okay. And then, yeah, but eventually I got them all, thankfully, and got them in a box. And they are doing really well, actually. Still flying. And they stayed, even though it wasn't like a 3 miles away and then bring them back, a week or so later.
Yeah, which is funny because people, what is it, 3 meters or 3 miles or 3 kilometers or whatever?
3 feet or 3 miles typically,
Sure.
something like that. That's generally what they say they're getting.
But that's what you're told, right?
Yeah.
So you think, hey, I just caught this swarm. I go to put them in a bucket or a nuke or something, and yeah, they should fly right back to where they were sitting.
Yeah.
But in our experience, that doesn't really happen too often.
Yeah.
As long as you either close off the front of the hive or just put something in front that's different, rocks or leaves or something, and they'll pretty much stay. The big key is if you use already pulled out comb.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say is that is a big thing. I did a couple of those things actually. I put in some, I believe, 3 frames of drawn comb, and then 2 frames that had some foundation because we do have a couple of frames with foundation. So I put those in on the outside, of course, and then I put some grass, just some weeds in the front of the entrance. So they did have to, kind of wiggle around to get out of that grass. So they would have to reorient. So seemed to have worked because they're still there.
Yep.
Luckily.
If you're trying to figure out how to do that, you can just take a twig from a bush that has leaves on it and just painter tape it right over the entrance. And then once the leaves fall off, it's time to just take that off.
Okay.
So.
But then Thursday, I was at work, and Mike had even more excitement than I had on Wednesday, if you can believe it.
So my original thought was, good, she dealt with it. I was at work. It should have been one swarm from the
one
Warray.
and done, right?
Yeah, one swarm from the Warray, and because queens and hives typically don't swarm over and over and over again unless like you've really let them run wild, which we did, and I didn't really give that a whole lot of thought because it's a Warray. The boxes are a little bit smaller. Yeah, there were a lot of bees, but not a ton. And then Thursday rolled around, and right at lunchtime, it never fails. I made my lunch. I looked out the window, and there was a swarm, and you could see it was a big swarm because from 100 feet away, you can see just a cloud, and it It didn't look like the other swarms from the past were like, oh yeah, I see a lot of bees flying, but this one was like a dense cloud. And so I ran out there like a crazy person. Um, no suit on, nothing. And first said, what are you guys doing? Why are you doing this? I wanted to see which hive it was coming from. And once I saw that it was the Warray, all of them coming out, I ran to the shed, got the two hive tools, and just started. I walked out there and just started tanging, and that's where you just beat the tools together, and it makes it sound like thunder outside. So the thing about that is it doesn't make the whole swarm come down together, but what it does is it makes them stop where they are, and they'll find a branch. But then all the other bees that are coming on the perimeter of that swarm will all just land wherever they are. Those guys will land, and then it'll kind of, as it works its way inside, all of them will start landing, and it's almost like they're communicating from outside in, saying, "Hey, I hear thunder." Boom, 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 and they all start landing. Well, when they did land, I looked in my hedge and I go, "There's one swarm. That's kind of good size. There's a big swarm." And then I didn't even notice until like 20 minutes later there was a huge swarm off to the further right, and they were all about, I'd say, 10 15 feet in the air, well, not in the air but on a branch. So super simple. Grab my hot swarm bucket, which you'll see I made a video on it last year. Attached the painter's pole to it, knocked them into the bucket, put the cap on. One done. Did the second one, that one done. But the second one being a little bit bigger, there was a lot of bees going back up. So what I did, because I didn't want to get another bucket, detached the painter's pole, put the swarm commander, tied it to the end, and just lifted the painter's pole until the swarm commander was up at the group of bees up there. I let them all climb onto the painter's pole, brought it back down, knocked them into the bucket. And then swarm 2 done. Swarm 3, awkward. They were on a nice branch, horizontally speaking, but there were 2 or 3 branches in the way. So like trying to get the bucket in there was hard. And then when I knocked them, the main group fell into the bucket, and then it just showered me with bees. So I'm standing down there with bees on my veil, bees on my shoulders, and this is a 5-gallon bucket. By the time I brought it down, thing's full. It is absolutely full of bees, and there's still bees on the ground. I'm like, oh my goodness. So I put the top on, I grabbed another bucket, and when they went back up there, I knocked those in too. So I had 4 buckets of bees, and I had to keep the 2 together that belong together, and the other ones separate. And this is all from like noon until 4 o'clock, and I'm doing all that, and then I now have bees in buckets. What do I do? So I'm looking around the yard going, all these hive boxes are taken. I have a rescue station that has 4 seats, but one of them was already filled because I'm doing this Nico experiment. And then I got the other. Oh no, there was another one that was full too. So there was only two spots empty. Yeah, that became an issue. So I filled one of our swarm traps with some bees. I filled the 2 nukes with bees, and then yeah, that was all of them. Because there are 2 nukes and then the swarm trap. I just dumped them into the swarm trap, closed the top, and then the gate at the front, and said, "You guys are good. Just stay in there." And they have. That's the one. That's the one group of bees that I actually put in that stayed, because the ones that went into the nuke, they actually flew out and went back into the Warray.
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
Yeah. I don't know.
No. Nothing.
I just wanted to look. Okay. I didn't know if it was up and people were saying stuff or not. But then, what's today? Sunday? So
today's Monday.
Monday. So was it Friday? It must have been Friday. That's when the Warray swarmed again. After all those guys returned, they decided that they were going to swarm again. And we were able to do a bunch of tanging, got them back into the box again. And then the very next day, Saturday, I came home from work, and I had trained all day, came home from work, and I'm walking the backyard with Rascal, and Rascal starts looking at a tree. He does this thing where he walks around and he's sniffing everything, and then he'll stop. And he doesn't like move his whole head. He just moves his eyes, and his eyes are looking up. And I'm like, I look up, and there's a group of bees up there, and I'm like, had to be from the Warray. Whatever. I'm gonna finish walking the yard, see if there's anything else going on. We'll just leave them there. They've been there probably all day.
Mm-hmm.
Sure enough, I come back. They start leaving the branch. They're out, just flying around. They're all over the place. My neighbors are mowing their yards on both sides, and I know that they can see me in my uniform, going, "Why? Why are you guys doing this? Stop it!" So they're in the air, and side note, if you are standing in the middle of a swarm and they just take off from a branch or the hive or whatever, they will poop on you. And whatever color you were wearing is now stained with little yellow stains or brown stains. So that uniform's getting washed.
He was like, I'm getting rained on by bee poop.
It hit my glasses, my hair, my shirt. I'm just like, what is happening? So I start stepping back, and they're following me over, and then I step forward, and they follow me that way.
Oh my goodness!
But that swarm stayed in one spot for a long time after they left that branch.
And he sent me the funniest short video of all of these bees like flying around, and then all of a sudden he like turned it around to face him, and he had like a bee on his glasses here, a bee over here. I was just like,
yeah.
Oh.
And the whole time the neighbors are, I swear they're just mowing the same spots, just watching me.
Probably.
Oh, you can't see that, but just going like that, watching me.
Probably.
Because I'm just standing there like mad at them. Well, after about 15 minutes, they all started to move. And that's when I got a little worried, because I wasn't tagging, I was just watching them and filming. And I had walked over during my walk around and saw one of the swarm traps had about 50 bees checking it out. And typically, once I get 50-ish bees, I know that there's going to be a swarm that's going to go into that box today. And they did. They took off. They slow rolled about 20 minutes from the branch over the swarm trap, which is about 10-15 feet away from so about a foot a minute, and they're just moving their way over, and then they went in, and I got film of them from the branch all the way over to the swarm trap, which made me happy, because if they had passed the swarm trap and went after the guy mowing,
oh my goodness, we'd have some really mad neighbors.
Yeah, he'd have been mad. I think he rents too, so
he does. That's right. Yeah. And then Saturday, a friend of ours actually called you, but you were at work.
That was Sunday.
Was that Sunday?
Sunday.
No, I worked on Sunday.
Sure,
Saturday. It was Saturday.
Saturday.
Mike was at work, and our friend called him, and then he was like, well, I'm at work. Can you call Lisa? Yeah. So he called me and was like, hey, my hive is trying to swarm, and I just got him back to the hive. I guess he was tagging or something. I'm not really sure what he did.
No. So yeah, he called me, and me being me and knowing that this is a beekeeper calling me and I'm at training, I just pick up. You know, if I can step away, I step away. I picked up. So I talked to him for a little bit, and he said, hey, this is what I did. Like, there was a swarm. I got them. I did this. Do you think they'll stay? And that's a big concern in our association, because the president has some issues with bees staying, and a couple of other folks, the way they set up their hives, their bees like to abscond. And it's almost an irrational fear for me, because we have so many bees that if they leave, goodness. I'm like, meh, okay.
So in all of our years, we've only had one hive, one colony abscond, and it wasn't even on our home apiary. It was in an outyard.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of sad.
It was sad.
Yeah. The people really liked the bees, and then all of a sudden they were like, oh, they must have gone in for winter, and I was like, it's September. No, they didn't. But yeah, so he was telling me that situation, and then 10 minutes after that we hang up, he's calling me again, and I'm like, I'm sorry guys, I gotta step away. So I answer, and he's like, Mike, they're gone. They're gone. They're I don't know where they went. Can you just can you come over and help me do a split? I was like, well, I can't. I'm at training, so no. uh, and I was like, but Lisa's available. She's at home doing nothing, so I'll give
Not at home doing nothing.
So-
But I was out running errands, and he called me, and I actually couldn't even pick up initially because I was checking out at the time. And but I called him right back, and he was like, hey, I've got this hive. They were trying to swarm. They're back at the hive now, but I really need to do a split and try and stop this. Can you come help me? And I was just like, okay, give me like, I don't know, 30 minutes or something so I can run home and grab my suit and head over. And I was like, I'll grab my swarm bucket too, like just in case. And just in case something crazy happens by the time I get there. Oh, I hit the bee.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, my hair. Yeah.
Just keep going.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, so I got down to his house, and he's like, yeah, they swarmed, but they came back to the hive, and I really just don't want them to swarm again. Can you help me do a split and at least try to stop it? I was like, okay, well, they still might. And he's like, oh, I know. Like, but we can do some stuff to try and maybe slow it down at least or something. So he was like, but I'm getting old and I can't see so well, and I don't have my queen marked, and I really have a hard time finding queens anyway. So I'm helping him go through his hive, and I have to say, for one thing, he's super sweet guy. Love him. Awesome. He smokes his bees so much. And I have to say, look, my smoke them if you got them shirt with my smoker on, my beautiful design. I'm super happy about it. But we don't really use a whole lot of smoke on our bees. And so seeing how much he was using, I was just like, oh, okay. Started coughing a little bit, but not a big deal. But yeah, we went through his entire hive. They were doing amazing. They had 2 supers on, mostly, filled with some nectar. We even pulled a frame of capped honey, like completely capped over, for him to stick in his freezer for later. But went through his entire hive, never once saw the queen, and he kept going, oh, there she is. Nope. And I was like, nope, that's a drone. Oh, there she is. Nope, that's a drone too. He's like, man, these are big drones. It's like, yeah, they are. But yeah, never did see her, but we did end up.
Were you gonna try and mark her if you could see her?
And you know what? I did say that too. I was like, man, if I had thought about it, I could have grabbed our marking pins and we could have marked her too. And he was like, it's okay.
Yeah. Maybe next time I'll go over there and we'll do some marking.
I did say, I was like, Mike's better at handling queens than I am too. Yeah. So. But.
Yeah. So I'm not really scared of picking them up anymore. I think I mentioned this last time, but queens don't, like, they can sting, and they can sting over and over because they have a smooth stinger, but I don't know anybody that's been stung by a queen.
No.
And they don't release alarm pheromones, so if you're picking them up and they're going all over, hey, it's good to see you, swarm stead. But if you're picking them up, like, they're not putting off the alarm pheromones, so you can do what you want as long as you don't rip them apart or squish them or lose them in the grass.
Yeah, so I think my biggest thing is because I wear those thicker gloves. I'm worried that I can't feel her as well, so I'm worried I'm gonna squish her, and I don't want to do that. And he wears those nitrile, thinner. I mean, they're thick for nitrile, but they're definitely thinner gloves than what mine are. Oh, have you actually been stung by a queen? Because we haven't met anyone who has, and we've met people that work with queens a lot.
Well, if it doesn't hurt, then that makes me feel even better about doing it.
That'd be some. I mean, not that I want to get stung by a queen just to test it, but that'd be interesting.
We could do it. I'll hold her. And...
You go right ahead. You can sting. I'll be ready with the EpiPen just in case. But so we ended up doing. Yeah, I did tell him that I should have brought them, but I didn't think about it at the time. I was just
That's
like,
okay.
I just needed to hurry up and get home and get my suit and get over there, just in case they did decide to swarm again.
Yeah. And I don't like putting the queen in that queen marking tube,
Yeah.
because the last time I did that, I just put green paint
Oh my
all over the
god.
queen, and that was awful.
We
So I rather just pick them up and then just
5 times. Oh, you didn't even notice it, really?
oh
That's crazy. Were you marking her at the time?
well,
That's
knowing me, if the queen stings me, and knowing that he didn't feel anything, I'll probably cry like a little girl and run around the yard like my pants are on fire.
oh
You
my
know, like
goodness. So okay, it wasn't even a queen, but I have to say it now
okay.
because you mentioned crying like a little girl. We were doing an inspection and he got stung like right here on the tip of his finger.
Oh, it's not the tip. It was right in between the nail and where the nail
Like
is
comes into
over the
okay.
skin.
Just had her held in my
Oh,
fist a little
gotcha.
from. Okay, so
Gotcha.
she was just not too happy that you were holding her.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but he got stick. He got stung right there, and he's like, "This is worse than childbirth!"
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like screaming and cursing the bees. I'm sure our neighbors think we're absolutely mad, but it's
Mhm.
okay. But I was like, "How would you know it's worse than childbirth? You don't even know. You're a man. You're never having child.
You
you
just
never."
when you get to that pain level, you just know. You just know. It's a instinct. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it was it was amusing for me. I mean, of course, I was sad for him because he got stung,
yeah.
and sad for the bee because she died. But I'm
So
sure you weren't.
it's kind of funny though, because my first question from non-beekeepers are
Mhm.
always, "Have you ever been stung?" It's almost like,
The
"Oh,
nose.
the nose."
Oh, I can't. No.
Well, I could see myself in that situation being stung on the nose, not when I'm beekeeping, but when I'm doing my walk around the yard and I'm
Yeah,
making sure there's no swarms
they
or
just get in your hair. Our bees,
yeah.
they love our hair. I don't know what it is, but
Hmm.
yeah, especially when I have it like in a weird, like
Yeah.
messy bun thing going on, and it's kind of all over the place.
For me, since I have short hair right now, it's easy to grab them because I just do like the little vending machine with the claw that comes down and grabs something. So I just do that and I just throw them and they come right back at me. But I throw them and I give them my warning that says, like, hey, I'm gonna throw you once, I'll throw you twice, and then you're done. So, but at that point, I'm also walking away. You know,
Right. Yeah.
so trying to give her a
Right.
reason not to sting me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see myself getting stung in the nose and not being happy. I mean, it can't get much bigger, but it would be painful.
I do. I will say I do remember. So I wear obviously if I'm just walking the backyard, which is where our apiary is. It's just in our backyard. Um, I'm not wearing a veil. There is always that one. That's 100% true. So that's what I was gonna say. Is our very first year. Um, so our first hive we got a nuke, and it was going fine, and we were like, oh my god, we love this so much that we need to get more bees. And we'd been talking about it, and it just so happened that I think maybe a week or two after we decided that we wanted to get more bees,
Mhm.
someone on our local Facebook group was like, hey, I'm a beekeeper, I'm moving because I'm retiring, I'm selling all of my bees, and I'm just going to start over in some other state, like across country. And we were like, oh my god, this is perfect. He's like 5 minutes from our house. Let's just go buy this whole hive like it's already set up. Well, we go over there, we're looking through them, everything's good. Of course, we had our suits on and everything. So we're walking away, and I take my veil off, and one gets me like on my
Oh, right
temple.
in the forehead.
Oh,
Yeah.
you remember that?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
swelled up. So I looked like I'd been hit by a baseball. It was so bad. It was like that for like 2 weeks.
But that's kind of funny that you mentioned that, because since then we haven't had really any stings where things really swell up really, really bad.
Well,
Like, well, I mean, as we progress through
they're
beekeeping,
so
like,
they're so vicious sometimes. You're like, why? Just when you think you're safe.
yeah. So maybe there is something to, like, if you get stung a bunch, like over time,
I
not like
don't
all at once,
know.
because you got stung what, like that 6 or 7 times in a
Oh
row
my
on the legs.
goodness. Oh my goodness.
Genes will not stop a stinger.
Definitely, definitely not. And I'm kind of paranoid about that now because I just found out my suit has a hole in it. My brand new suit. I'm so bummed about it. I only had it a few months now. You're done soliciting and bees were hating you. Oh, that's the worst.
I have a video of her where on my veil, nothing. On her veil, just bees just coming out of her face, everything.
So they were doing the same thing when I was helping Terry out.
Were they?
They were just nothing. You maybe one or two bees on him. That was it. Me, all over my gloves, all over my. They were like trying to sting me through my veil.
They sense fear.
I'm not afraid. They just. I'm so sweet. They just love me.
It's gotta be.
It's gotta be how sweet I am.
Was he smoking you again?
Yes. It was so much smoke.
He did this thing last time we were hanging out with him in beekeeping. He just walked over and smoked Lisa a bunch because he was like, "They're really getting at you." Really, and I was like, "That is awesome." I never do that. So I'm trying to now light up the smoker more often and just smoke Lisa as much as possible.
And it wasn't, but you did that the last time.
It didn't do it.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter. They didn't care.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, smoke, whatever.
I must have been using the wrong fuel.
Oh.
So just sticks. Sticks didn't work.
Well, and then, yeah, I know. Ridiculous. Yeah, but then Terry had those, like, cotton pellet.
Oh, the pellet, yeah.
Yeah, he had those, and he was using that at first, and he's like, oh, it's not really working that great. Mm-hmm. And then he put some pine needles in, and he was just putting all kinds of stuff in it. He's just like,
thanks for
they just don't care.
I see the thumbs up.
Yay!
So, yeah. So we actually have some of those things over there.
I know,
it's like compressed, watered down, like paper or something.
Yeah. I think it's like recycled, like clothes.
Hey, good for the environment.
Yeah, hopefully. But it was funny because I even told him that. I was like, yeah, we got some of this in one of our beekeeping association has a raffle. So different people bring in, things they either don't want it anymore, they had too much of it, or they're just being nice, or whatever. And you put in $1 for a raffle ticket, and if your ticket gets called, you can pick something off the table. And I was like, oh, we'll try this. That'll be fun. Literally haven't used it once. we have so much like sawdust from the workshop and pine needles around, and
we need to relabel this beekeeping story time, because we talked about swarms a little bit, but then it was like, hey, we're
just gonna ramble,
talk about everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other things I wanted to mention is we did release a candle making video, and it's gotten some good traction in the last day because it came out yesterday.
Oh,
but
okay.
It's at like 200 something views, which is
really
nice. But Lisa will take you from the hive all the way through the candle making process all the way to the end. And tall cedars. Oh,
where the heck are you? Oh.
Yeah, so a lot of folks have been saying that they're not getting the notifications. I don't know what the deal is, but we do see people rolling in and
rolling out.
Rolling out, really. But
we like your feedback. We love that you're talking to us. We do really appreciate that. We would love for more people to, ask questions or
just
throw in
share their story.
Yeah, throw in their tidbits too.
And I can read it this time.
I know, because the camera's so much closer. It's nice, right?
Yeah.
Like you can see our beautiful faces.
But we did the candle making video, and then this weekend it's either going to be honey extraction, how to do that next week, or 13 beekeeping hacks.
I think the hacks should be first.
The hacks?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you guys think? Hacks first or honey extraction?
So our 13 beekeeping hacks are just things that we've picked up over the last couple of years that like new beginners wouldn't even really look at as something that just makes things easier when you're beekeeping.
Yeah.
So
hopefully it'll help somebody else out too.
But honey extraction is always fun too, because it's honey. It's the reward that you're looking for.
Good.
So.
Oh my goodness. And okay, so we only pulled 2 frames. I will say that. But it's so good. It's just, and he even walked in the house, or in the shed. Was it on the shed still? Yeah. He walked in, he's like, oh my God, it smells so good in here. It's like, you have no idea. I've been smelling this for hours now.
So if you're curious, our 2 deeps made about
Eight jars.
8 jars.
8 13-ounce jars
Yeah.
of honey.
So if you're looking forward to extracting honey and you just need to know how many jars you're going to get, 2 deep frames, 8.
You don't
8
like? Do you not
bottles.
like extracting? Do you use? Do you do cut comb honey then? Because we have done. So we have the hog half comb system, which we've been using, and actually is on one of our hives right now. So we do like that. But we did a lot of cut comb honey last year, and we've kind of cornered the market on cut comb honey in our
this
area.
area? Oh,
In our
yeah.
area, nobody else does it. So I think that's kind of our thing.
And a lot of the older folks in the area buy it up. And then the younger, the like real younger, not like teenagers, they're kind of iffy on it.
Yeah.
But the little kids really like cut comb honey.
Yeah, because they can just take a piece of it and chew on it, just like except when they don't know.
Well, and this is the biggest tip that you'll ever hear in beekeeping. Don't make a plan because it's just going to fall apart. Or you can say, make a plan to make another plan to then make another plan. Because every time I've gotten into the bees going, this is what I want to do with them. This is what they're going to do for me. No, they do the opposite because that's just
they do whatever they want to do.
Who they are. But if I go into a hive going, this is my goal. I want to see this or that. And if I don't, here's how I'm going to react. That works out better than going out there going, I'm going to pull 2 frames of honey because last time it looked like they were almost ready. Because then you're going to go in and find that they've uncapped it and they've swarmed and they've taken that honey with them.
Oh goodness!
So
the bees have their own plan. They don't listen to ours.
No. Something that they say at our association is you must like to gamble because beekeeping is just gambling. You're gambling your honey crop. You're gambling your life away. You're gambling. I'm like
gambling even on the bees because like he said, our president is the one. He's bought I don't even know how many packages of bees now.
Well, we'll just say they abscond a lot.
So,
he's becoming a professional.
A professional of absconded. But I mean, bees aren't cheap. If you're buying packages of bees for $100+ each time. That's just like, and then you just watch your money fly away.
Yeah.
That's the worst,
that's
right?
What was it? Year 3? I was getting so mad because they would swarm, and I'm like, there they go.
There they 100 half cat, half open nectar. Don't know what to do with them.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's why we shifted our supers to shallows.
Yeah.
So we have 1 brood box, and then our second brood box is mainly resources with like just the bottom parts of the frames having brood, and the rest is resources, and then they'll do honey in the supers.
Yeah, but that's worked out for us because we know that if we leave the double brood box, then they have enough resources to get through winter. So we do leave the double brood box, even though one's typically just the brood.
Yep.
But yeah, so we know any of the shallow supers, because that's shallows and mediums. We have a few of both. But we know that any of those shallows or medium supers are for us.
Yep.
So
and then if we get really greedy, we'll go into the second brood box and we'll take the outside frames, which are the honey, because those are capped, and we'll leave them something else. But we haven't had that issue.
I was gonna say I don't think we've done that.
So. But
yeah, it's exciting.
So release the candle making video. I'm working on the honey extraction and 13 beekeeping hacks. But for our members, we got a new little toy I'm going to play with, and I'm going to cut open some of those. I call them asteroids, but when you look at your bottom board and you see all these little like balls of, I believe it's propolis and wax, and what's in it, in my estimation, is probably like a hive beetle or a larva or something that doesn't belong in a hive. But I took a bottom board off of a hive, replaced it with a new one because I like to cycle them. And I'm going to cut open some of those and use a high-powered microscope that hooks up to my phone and dissect a couple of them. Yeah. And then I'm also going to, I already said I'm going to do the swarm videos for the members, for like just kind of talking about what we do, why we do it, and our thought process. Something maybe we could have done better if we had more resources.
And if you're interested in becoming a member, if you just go to our channel, you can click join. It's 99 cents a month for the small or lowest membership level.
Yeah. So there's 3 tiers.
Yep.
99 cents, which at this point, like, I'm just trying to build the members, so that's going to give you most of everything. There is a member that right now is at the $10 level. So
Or Journeyman Beekeeper.
Journeyman Beekeeper. So I'm trying to throw a lot more that way too to,
boost it up.
Yeah, boost that up. One of the things I thought of today that I'm going to work on this weekend or next weekend is making a video to identify the different stages of the worker bee. So what I wrote here was how to tell the difference between a young bee and an old bee. And I'm sure the swarmstead will be like, come on, man.
So it's funny that you did that though, because I did was that alive? I feel like it was alive.
I think so.
Yeah, so when our Ray did that little fire drill, I did a couple quick live videos, and one of them was, oh, this is a cute little young bee. Look at how furry he is and hairy, and this one's older, and yeah.
But
it was super quick.
It wasn't so
that great.
The one I'm gonna go through is I'll probably steal some of that footage, but I'll go through like the age ranges, or like how long does it take from egg to like emerging, and then age ranges after that and what jobs they do. So I'm gonna try and break it down as best I can, and I'll have footage of something that each of them do. So if it's a nurse bee, like doing its nurse thing, or worker bee or whatever. So I'll do that for the members, and then and then I wanted to talk about podcasts that I listened to this week. So we both listened to the Hive Jive, and they talked about nucleus resource hives and how to use those. And honestly, we're already doing that, so none of that information really helped us. But if you're interested in like having your main hives, but then I would suggest having 1 or 2 nucleus boxes. One for what we call a silent box, and we'll talk about that in a different video, but another one as a resource hive where you can set it up and it's got your 4 or 5 frames in there, and as they build out, you can take from them, and that essentially gives them more room so they can keep building and doing their thing. But then you have something that you can say, hey, I can take from this, put it over here, and
I haven't heard of that one. Have you heard of that one? Might Bond Beekeeping?
I have. I think I got it queued up. I haven't listened to any of them yet because I'm right now going through Beekeeper's Corner, which I listened to, the 5 Apple Farms.
Did you have
the Hive Jives?
I want to write that down.
No, but it'll be on the live chat.
Okay. Thanks for that. I'm going to check them out.
Yeah. The Hive Jive, I like. Then I listen to some of the ones over in the UK because I like their accents, and and I like to see a different perspective, because the European beekeeping, I feel like a lot of that stuff can be related to what we do here, especially the little quick tips that they do. Maybe not the beekeeping methodology,
yeah.
but the some of the little tricks that they do. I mean, like Germans, they have the smoker that just like hangs from like almost like a harness, and you just blow into it and it'll smoke for you. A good one that I saw the other day was they took some of the foam that you use like in between like egg cartons, and they cut strips of that. They wetted it down, and instead of blocking off the hive with screen or whatever, they just fill that with water and they stuff it in there. So it's almost like stuffing a shirt in the entrance, and then you can move the hive from here to there without worrying about it. And the water creates like an AC for them, so it doesn't heat up too much while you're transporting them.
That is made for only quick transport, though.
I wouldn't.
It's not meant
to
keep them closed up for an extended period of time.
Not like North Carolina to Tennessee or California.
No. But pretty cool though.
Yep. But they talked about that. I listened to the 5 Apple Farms today.
Yep. Talking about record keeping.
Yeah. And she kind of hits on all the same things we do. When
Yeah.
we started out record keeping, like just writing it in a notebook, it gets messy. And then you move on to, well, what's the next best thing I can do? And you can split off and write on top of your Hive, or you can use an app on your phone. And a lot of the apps ask for a lot of stuff. And 4 or 5 years into it, you're like, I don't really need that stuff. I need to know, what did I see last time? How do I feel that the hive is doing? And then, are there eggs?
Yeah.
You know, and past that, like, it kind of depends on what season you're in, but you know, there's not much more you really need to see.
Do we have a queen? Are they getting ready to swarm?
Yep. And then recommendations.
Yeah.
What do you recommend to yourself for next time?
Yeah.
Because that helps me a lot. If I go, I can skip all the notes and go recommend another super, or recommend straightening comb.
And that's really helpful for us too, because sometimes, you know, he can get deployed for work, and if he did the last inspection while I was at work, then I know for next time what I need to look for if he's not there.
Yep.
So it works really well for us.
And it would be really useful if we did the BOAs, or the Beekeepers of the Albemarle, the association we're part of. They have an apiary which they teach at, and they do checks. So if you have a communal apiary and you go in to do a check, you should write some notes somewhere for the next person that comes in, you know. But
that'd be fun to set up on the website. Maybe we should mention that at the meeting.
Yeah. But what the Five Apple Farms lady was saying is, she went away from writing notes on each hive and just did an overall apiary note, which I find curious, and I'd like to see how that's done, because if I'm walking in an apiary with 20 hives, how do I differentiate? You know, like, I know Rick Core, one of the beekeeping guys that we know, he goes into his apiary, and if his hive is queen right, the brick lays flat. You know, if it's not queen right, or it has a problem he wants to look at, he puts the brick vertical, you know. So yeah,
it's different.
Yeah. I'm currently listening to the latest Hive Jive one with the lady from Two Hives Apiary down in Texas, and they're talking about propolis. So cattle tags, yep, that's one of them.
Yeah, so that's one of the ones that the Five Apple Farms was talking about. She uses either goat, cattle, sheep, whatever tags, and she labels each hive stand, like each wherever the hive is located, which is actually what we do too.
Yeah.
But she also labels her queens. So which we don't do. Yeah. But she has all of her queens marked, and then she'll also number her queens. So whether it's like she was mentioning 74R for a red queen, so she knows how old they are, but then also like where she moves the queen within the apiary, which we have not done that.
Oh yeah, she totally does.
She really does.
It's very soothing, but not enough for me to go to sleep. I stay very captivated, and I don't know why I always think of this. I'm like, this is a nurse talking to me.
She is.
Yeah, I know she is, but I don't see her as a beekeeper at first, because I hear all the nurse kind of stuff kind of being, you know, it's almost like an intersection between beekeeping and nursing, because she always takes so much of her nursing stuff and kind of points it at beekeeping, which I think is fun, because there's nothing I can really do with my day job to point it at beekeeping, except for like setting up a routine, you know, to do this and that.
I think so too. Yeah. She sounds like such a sweet person. I'd love to meet her. Yeah. And she is in North Carolina.
Yep.
So
she's Western.
Yeah, but maybe we'll meet her at one of the conferences. That'd be cool.
I bet we already have.
Oh, maybe.
So
I don't know. We'll see.
But
hopefully we'll be able to go this year in the fall, maybe.
Yep.
Do you guys go to conferences? Do you have a state conferences in your areas or region?
If I remember right, Swarmstead is actually from here too.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of folks.
Terrible memory.
There's a couple of folks that I do remember, and it's like there's a Donald that's in Papua New Guinea, PA. That's right.
Pennsylvania. Oh, are you the one from Philly? I don't, near Philly? No.
I don't think he is. But I remember Donald from Papua New Guinea. I remember Tall Cedars from
BC.
BC, Canada, and then there's I want to say Mickey Rourke, but that's not right. Hold on, I'm getting
about an hour north. Okay.
So, but yeah,
Yeah.
there's a couple of folks that I remember, and Swarmstead's one of them.
Yeah. So about an hour north of Philly. Okay. So I don't know if you're a hockey fan or not.
Oh, don't mention them.
No, I know. I'm sorry. So we're hockey fans, and we have. Well, they're not in the same division anymore, or at least the same conference. But I am a Carolina Hurricanes fan, and Mike here, poor Mike,
I like the Philadelphia Flyers.
He's a Flyers fan, and we even have a Flyers window covering in our shed.
In our honey shed.
Honey shed.
They're a great group of guys. I don't know what's happening to them this year.
Yeah. Oh, and our beekeeping suits, jackets, our hangers is a hockey stick that he's converted into a coat rack, so it's cute.
I took an old wooden hockey stick that I wasn't using anymore and made it into a hanger. I try and do that as much as possible. Is just use something that we already have. That way I'm not spending a ton of money on like a hanger for beekeeping suits.
And all of our beautiful frames for our posters and this bee that we have and some epoxy. We did all of, like, he made all the frames and such. Yeah it's nice.
So it's just good to have skills.
It is.
That's not job related.
True.
So
true.
But as a reminder, wash your beekeeping suits.
Yep. And tools.
Yeah.
And your hive tools.
Because they get very dirty, they get very stained, and then yes, you look very seasoned, but I guess it spreads disease.
You guess?
I really like our apiary has been pretty.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good. Don't look into them.
He's relieved. He's like, no, they don't check it out.
They're not doing well. Maybe next year.
Yeah.
They keep telling me next year. It's been years. But yeah, the dirty suits and whatnot. I like to keep mine washed just because I don't like. Well, personally, I don't like the stains, but I don't like the thought of like a disease coming from one hive to the next and tools that are spreading that. Like it doesn't make sense. If I wash my hands after I use the bathroom, like I might as well, wash my gear. After I'm done beekeeping.
Aye.
So.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I got
you
nothing
have anything else.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about the hive drive that I'm listening to right now is talking about propolis and the benefits of that with Tara Chapman, who's from Two Hive.
She's in Texas, right?
Yeah, she's in Texas. She was in the CIA.
Yeah.
That's what everybody.
Yeah, we actually attended one of her Zoom call lectures about tinctures,
and it was good. She referred to her hire more because she's the one that does the Gina. I think she's the one that does the tinctures and everything. But if you don't know, propolis is just bee glue. Essentially, it's what the bees use to glue everything together. So when you use your hive tool and it pops open, you're breaking the seal. Yeah. And it's very medicinal for the bees. It can be for us as well. And they make tinctures out of it.
We'll definitely let you know because I'm super excited to check it out.
So next Monday we'll do another live here and we'll talk about that. I will remember.
My bomb podcast.
That's pretty easy. Yeah.
I think I'll remember. I hope I'll remember.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
But that's all we got. We had 4 swarms this week. 5 swarms this week, and every time we basically used our bee bucket or the swarm commander to help lure them one way or the other,
or both,
or tanging to get them back into the hive. That's really cool if you get a chance to do that. The next thing I want to look into is drumming. Like, I'm just gonna freak out the neighbors essentially, but drumming on the side of a hive box to get them to come back in, that's a thing.
I don't remember hearing about that.
That is a thing.
Okay.
I didn't make it up. I promise. But that would be cool if I was out there with like my bucket, just like drumming away on the bucket.
I could just picture you with a steel drum out there. You're like, okay, all right, we're gonna put woodworking aside for a minute, and I'm gonna tweak this steel drum that I picked up, and we're gonna do that.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
But I have nothing else.
No. What about you guys? How are your bees?
Yeah.
How's everything going in your neck of the woods? We'd love to hear.
Because I talked to Tall Cedars the other day in Victoria, and it's just warm, or not Victoria, Vancouver. It's just warming up a little bit.
Different ways to say drum.
To say? No, there's different ways to drum.
Oh, different ways to drum. I thought it said to say drum. I'm seeing things now.
But, yeah.
Different ways
so
to drum. I've never heard of drumming.
In Pennsylvania, are you already like in your bees doing? Yeah, he said he was, wasn't he? Yeah. Did you say you were? It's funny because I'll remember everything from this conversation in like 30 minutes when we turn this off. But right in the moment, my short term is bad. Yeah. Mason splits. Okay. Yeah, because I know further north they're just starting to get that warm weather to get in there, and you know you're still in that like you got to be careful because maybe a cold spell will just pop up. But here in North Carolina, like there's not going to be a cold spell. Well, so
bees are on the verge of swarming. Well, that means you have some nice healthy colonies, though, right? That's the one good thing.
Yep.
So that. Well, managing the two.
So a couple of years ago, that's what we would say over and over and over again is, well, if our bees are swarming, that means they're super healthy, and that's great. But the neighbors are like, stop it. Stop this madness. Please move somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, but there's a bunch of different things you can do. Splits. We're trying the whole queen rotation thing just to see.
If it actually makes a difference.
Like logically, when I think about it, it makes sense. But
okay.
Oh, speaking of that, one of the things that I've started to notice about swarming, at least with our apiary and the nearby apiaries, are right before it rains. Ours will swarm.
Yes.
I don't know why they do that, but ours will swarm right before it rains. Everybody else's swarms right after the rain. So if the sun comes out and it's real bright and like you start seeing the vapors coming off the street or the evaporating, the water evaporating, then that's when those bees, they're out and they're after.
Yeah, after for you.
Yeah, our bees are rascals. They're they're confused on what they're doing. So a couple years ago I saw them swarm out. And I could see the rain clouds coming. And I'm wondering, like, what inside of them thought that was a good idea. They went to a branch, and then you could hear thunder in the distance. And they went from the branch right back into the hive. They were just done with it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's good. Because I didn't want to go out there and try and climb a metal ladder at the time.
In the rain.
In the rain.
Maybe lightning.
No.
Not a good idea. No.
So. Well, it's been an hour and 12 minutes. That passes my 20-minute mark of doing live videos. This is two weeks in a row.
2 in a row.
If you guys do have any questions and we do sign off, just go ahead and drop them in the comments. We answer within 6 to 8 hours because we sleep.
Oh.
But
that's fun.
So we have the guy we bought our first set of bees from, he did that. He just left them in the tree, and every time they swarmed, and I think we talked about this once, is you just kind of leave them there. They'll swarm to your hives that you got set out or to your swarm traps, and then you just keep using them as a resource. Yeah. So
it's something you could do.
Yeah, I think it's an awesome idea. If you got them and you have the space for more bees and you want to keep capturing swarms or give them out, there you go. You got. They call them feral hives, but you know that they came from one of yours or somebody in the areas at some point. So I guess now they're feral.
Yeah, so my only concern with those is at that point Varroa. So have you gotten swarms from that the bee tree? Yeah. And if so, have you done testing to see if there's any kind of issues with Varroa? That would be my only thing, I think. Because other than that, I mean, clearly they're doing okay.
Originally, I'd say it wouldn't bother me because there should be a big brood break and all that varroa should go.
Yeah.
But in our swarm that we caught the other day from down the street, they definitely, once they started pulling out wax and they laid, it
Oh, okay.
it had varroa. So we went ahead and put in Hop Guard 2.
Mhm.
It can go in with honey and everything else. So we set that in there and just let it go. So hopefully that gets those mites. If it doesn't, we'll treat them later.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh,
Well, if it works for you.
yeah.
I mean, I like I was telling you, we always try and do as much as we can. So if we can go in there and take the queen out to give it that brood break, like brood break's really the answer for like a treatment free sort of
Yeah.
beekeeper.
We try to do as little as possible, but really, like we want to not get to that chemical point.
Yeah.
So we're doing more management than chemical treatments. Really.
Yeah. I'd rather be in the bees more trying to figure out a way to knock down varroa than just wait for them to make a bunch of honey and then later on I just blast them with chemicals. That it doesn't seem, just logically speaking, like throwing chemicals into a thing that produces honey, uh, and the honey lasts forever. We're not talking about preservatives or anything like that. Like I'm not super comfortable doing that, to be honest.
Yeah. Same.
You know, but
Absolutely. Completely agree. And if it works for you, that's awesome.
yeah, and
That's really the key is we try to put out there what we do and if it helps somebody else, awesome, but we love to hear what other people are doing too because maybe we'll get a different idea and try something different because we're all about trying new things in the apiary and obviously if you look out there and you see a Warray and a flow hive and a long laying hive and a half comb and a
well, so the next things are top bar hive, clearly, a Kenya hive hanging from a tree, a Lands hive,
maybe a national. Like there's so many.
What was
so
the
many
Scottish one? There was a Scottish one with a really cool name, like
a
Johnson hive or something.
Oh yeah, it was something like that. So we watched that documentary about it. They were talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The documentary is really good. It's called Ode to Beekeepers.
Oh, the cinder block hive.
And I saw something the other day where somebody was making a hive. It wasn't cinder block hive. It was they did concrete molds, and you pour the concrete in there, and there's your mold, and then that's your bottom board, and then you got a top and other ones, and
they're heavy enough already. Is what I'm thinking.
I don't know if it's the type of concrete he was using but it was on Twitter.
Oh,
I saw it. And I saw the guy working it, and he wasn't super strong looking, but he was huffing and puffing as he moved one or two things. So that's not for me.
No, definitely not for me.
No, I lift weights in a weight room so I can put them back. Yeah. But,
okay.
All right. Well, you guys have a good evening and hopefully have a great beekeeping season. We'll see you next Monday.
Yes, hopefully.
Yeah. And smash the like button. I like seeing the thumbs up while we're talking.
Yeah,
if it's just because we're laughing, I can do that.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Bye. How do we turn this thing off? Oh, it's the X.